Yes, yes.
That's a good show, but
There are three girls. The three girls.
They're dancing around, jumping.
Oh, they never stop.
That's right.
Now, for a half hour, you introduce that into the home, and someone is going to have a heart attack. Because she says, now you keep this up, we'll be right back, you know? Well, there's where she should say, all right, now let's rest for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's right. She goes for half an hour straight.
But they cut that. You can see where they've cut when she goes into these different things. But it looks like she never stops. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I talked to Don, and he told me that you started out in a medicine show at the age of 10. Now, I know you've been asked 100 times.
Yes. Is it on now?
I presume we're roughly on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But could you tell our viewers what it was like?
Well, a medicine show, first of all, was a platform out in an open field, and they had lights that ran into a house nearby with an extension cord to give us our lights for the stage. Some of the shows had huge burners on each side, fire to light up the stage. But then electricity got a little bit better, so they started plugging into the house, and they'd pay like 50 cents, 75 cents a night for the lights. And it was on this platform they'd have performers who would give a free entertainment, and then they would sell their products. They call it television now.
What did you do as a boy?
I started off as a mammy singer, a black-faced mammy singer. Then I did Silly Kid, Tramp, Old Man, and from medicine.
You developed some of your characters at this point, then?
Not yet,
no?
Not yet, because I was still feeling myself out. Who did I want to be, you know? And so basically, I guess the characters are there. Like with Junior, the mean little kid, was basically Silly Kid. Characters, and all the different characters I learned from those. From a medicine show, I went to 10 shows to a minstrel. From minstrels into Hagenbeck and Wallace Circus, showboats, vaudeville, walkathons as master of ceremonies, and into radio, motion pictures, television.
When did you first get into television? Because I know you've been on for 20 years.
The first time I was ever on television was in 1931. In 1931, when they used to paint your lips black, and through here they would paint black, or you would come out and you have no lips at all. You'd just look a hole in your face. And it was a closed circuit type thing where you stand in one room and they see it on the set in the other room. They could not transmit it yet through the air. And I actually became interested in television in 1922. I was a small little boy, I was about 9 years old. And my brother had showed me pictures of what television was going to be in a Popular Mechanics magazine. And they had these great, huge discs. Why, you'd need a room as big as this building here, just for the cameras alone in those days. But how they've condensed it down to these micro cameras, it's just, it's unbelievable. But I became interested then. And then when I was in motion pictures, I bought my contract from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer so that I could devote all my time just to television. Then I bought the Charlie Chaplin Studios, and I shot all of my shows in color, and they were presented in black and white. So all my shows I've got for 20 years are in color.
Wow, that's
you know, that's looking forward a little.
We all laughed with you over the years a lot, and we cried with you.
Wow.
And
that bad, huh?
you know,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Crying with you, and
Yes.
it was. What's your fondest memory of 20 years in television?
Well, I think the people going into their homes and never being out of the top 10 in ratings all that time. And you don't invite your relatives in your home that often. But to go into people's homes, usually people walk up and say, I watch you every week. Well, they don't, actually. People don't watch television that much, but they think they do. Like when the news is on, for instance, how many people sat there? Remember when radio, there was no picture, but everybody sat there and looked at the set. See? Now that there's a picture on it, they walk around the house and you keep working and they glance at it every once in a while. I suppose there are some devoted fans who sit there and really study it and and become a part of it. But the plots that they have on television now, I wouldn't want to be a part of the story. I love, like in the old days, when a story, you got into it and you were one of the characters and you more or less felt like you were peeping, you know. Now it's one of those things you want to get away from.
Did you enjoy it live more than?
No, not as much. I didn't. No, I didn't enjoy it live because there was a time factor there, and it gave you a very nervous stomach. Everybody in television in those days chuck, and I was never nervous in my life walking on stage.
We still do, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if it's live, because you're fighting that time element. But then when the advent of tape, it all changed. I was never ill anymore, and I really ruined myself with the first 2 years in television. But when tape came in, it made it much easier because you could do what you wanted to do and then cut out things that didn't exactly play right. But I always did a preview first. I did a preview in front of a live audience, and then I'd go home and listen to the audio. And not the video, but just the audio tape. And anything that got too big of a laugh, I would cut out completely. Because when you're watching television, you'll sit there and say, hey, come in here, you got to hear this. This is pretty good, you know. You've missed the next three things. Now, it could be an answer to something up before, or it could be a plot that's being set for later. So I figured by taking jokes that got the same amount of laughter all the way through, the whole show stunk, but nobody noticed it. So they'd go out, and there was no highlights where they'd say, did you hear the thing that he did last night? Instead of that, they would say, did you see the sketch that he did last night, or the play that he did last night? That was pretty nice, and they can pretty well remember it because they got into it. But now, like I say, with the crime and all this, people become they're fearful. And I think basically, if you get right down to it, we're not kidding ourselves. They're out to make money in television. And I think they've created a fear so that people will stay home. I don't want to go out on the streets if this is going on. You see, they sell commercial time at $250,000 per minute. That's $125,000 for 30 seconds. And if subliminally you can sell a product in 30 seconds, what does 1 hour do to your brain? So I think it's dangerous. But if they can create this fear where people don't want to go out because they're afraid they'll be robbed or mugged, or their house will be robbed while they're gone, and they stay home, they sell more commercial time because they watch television, more commercial time at $250,000 per minute.
Let me ask you this, since you're bringing this up, where's television going?
I think I made a prediction in New York, and I got quite a few rebuttals on it. But if you will figure it out, they're starting it now. On Monday morning, the first thing that the news weatherman tells you is what the weather's going to be on Saturday and Sunday. But let's get to what we're doing. Let's get today. Today it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day, so on and so forth. Subliminally, they have put in your mind that Saturday and Sunday is going to be bad, so you don't plan to go anywhere. So they stay home and they sell this more commercial time on football games, which is the highest price network time there is. And people stay home on that Saturdays and Sundays for that reason. They don't know why they're staying home, but most of them do.
Do you think that there's...
I think this. I think that in less than 10 years from now, I'll say 5 years, all you will see on television will be news, special events, and maybe now and then some like a special event, but sports is going to be the main thing.
I think you're kind of saying that the networks are
Are
going to...
building it to that.
Well, and the networks, I think, are going to start losing some of their influence, don't you think?
Well, no, they've got the influence now. I mean, you can watch all three channels, like with ABC, whether they realize what they're doing or not, but it's strictly a propaganda campaign.
But, you know, the FCC now is allowing more things to
I know.
happen with independence and
I know.
cables
And the language that they use, and I don't think you need it. There's a lot of homes, I'm pretty sure, that don't use four-letter words or even hell or damn, you know. Mm-hmm. I remember in my beginning in show business, on the walls would be a sign, no hells or dams in this theater, you'll be canceled. And I told yesterday on another interview show of an idea of what humor was. how far it's gone to where it's not even humor. It's an abuse to humor now. It's a shortcut for thinking. They shock people into these things. I was in burlesque, and I was doing a sketch in Wheeling, West Virginia, and the show got arrested. They did a midnight show because on Sunday you couldn't do a performance. It had the blue laws. And the joke was, we were singing, "Tell me, pretty maiden, are there any more at home like you?" Oh, we're dressed in these gay 90 outfits. And I said to the girl, "Would you like to take a walk?" And with this old-fashioned costume, she raises her skirt to just above her ankles. She says, "I think it's going to rain." And I said, "I'd like to see it clear up." We got arrested for that joke. And they charged everybody in the troupe, about 30 people, $25 fine each. And I was responsible for it. So that's how strict that was. Oh, vulgarity. You mean to say that you said this in front of ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you know? And it was a burlesque show.
You've been a part of so many different art forms and creative processes that you're a model for artists.
Well, a model is a replica of almost the real thing.
But I mean, for people who want to be in art, in music, in television, radio, what's your favorite?
Well, I paint and I write music. I've written 64 symphonies. London Philharmonic recorded 4 of them. I have over 18,000 musical numbers. I write 5 musical selections each day. And I paint.
As a regiment?
No, it's more of an exercise. It has become an exercise. And I write an outline for a short story each day. And that way on Sunday I take the best of these 7 short stories and I write a complete story. That way I have 52 stories a year and 360 ideas, 5 ideas.
How about your paintings?
My paintings, that's very important. There is not one authorized dealer in the state of California selling my paintings. Anybody that buys in malls or in any of the galleries are buying forged paintings. There's be a lawsuit on the 27th. The United States Post Office have rounded up 27 people who have been bulking the public. There are galleries like in MGM in Reno is legal. Sparks, Nevada at the Nugget, that's legal. The Nevada Gallery in Reno is legal. Las Vegas is all phonies. They're all forged, and they're reproductions of reproductions. And so the post office, we couldn't get them because of the infringement on my copyright. That's a misdemeanor. That's a $50 fine. They pay their $50 fine and go out and do it over again. And for the forgery, I have to see them. This is very important for people to know that the minute you lose your credit card or anything you have to sign, report it right away if it's lost. Because the law reads that you must see the person signing your name with 2 witnesses. You cannot do anything about forgery. But they use the mail to defraud. They ship these paintings through the mail and they put out mail orders on them. And so the United States Post Office moved in. And what was funny, the United States District Attorney went in and bought one of my phony paintings, see? And he says to me when he met me, would you sign it? Because the front of it's not signed. I says, it's not signed because I didn't, it's not mine originally. You didn't buy an original. Now, my originals sell for, you can buy the reproductions on canvas for $125 up to $200. They're getting from $250 to $500 for each one, and they're phonies. With my certificate that you get my signature, you get my signature on the front of the painting and on the back, and my thumbprint on the certificate of authenticity.
Tell us quickly how you get one.
Well, you just write Red Skull, Anza, California. And
Anza?
ANZA, California. That's Post Office Box 136, if you're really interested.
Well, I wish we had a couple to show because...
He's got some in the car. We should. You want to stop for a minute, and I'll have him run out and get them.
Perfect.
Yeah, shut it off for a minute, and I'll show you some of the pictures.
Love to. Can we get him? We're over our time.
Well, don't pay any attention to him.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
hell, I might as well do this. He gets paid more than I do.
All right. Well, does he really? See, now you're learning something right now, so you're being paid more than he is. See? You asked me a question about Camden, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yes.
I grew up in Camden. He would tell me stories about you.
Yeah.
Bars and things.
No, I never played bars. I never played a bar. I never played
Lie to
nightclubs.
me?
No, your father didn't lie to you. No, I was at the airport there with a master of ceremonies at a walkathon. That's an endurance contest. And I would go on in the afternoon at 2 o'clock and work till 5, and then go on at 9 o'clock at night and work till 2 in the morning as Master of Ceremonies. Hi, dear. Hi.
This is Martha Thompson.
Nice to see you, Martha. Yeah. So that's
I
pretty
was
much.
trying to figure out why they called you red, because we always had a black and white set.
Yeah, they ask me now about my hair. I said, yeah, I got a pink skull now, you know. Yeah, the hair is slowly going away. I always like to have an alley in the old block, you know. I used to part it right down through the middle, but I found out it was dead center. What I mean by that, they give you some of these other. See, now that's a different print, but you can see how the depth of the color is a little bit better. For instance, this is one of the others. Yeah. Yes, There's 60,000. The last one was sold for. This one here, by the way, speaking of the prices of them, this one was sold. The original sold in Hawaii. The original sold for 41,000. See?
Oh my God. Where do you get your ideas?
Just ideas that they come up, like for Christmas. I did the little what you call it. Is this thing on?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're still going, huh? Yeah. I hate to talk to myself, you know, even though. Yeah, that's that one. And then here's one for I did for Thanksgiving, and the little chef.
The eyes of clams. It's interesting that
This was a plate. The eyes.
yeah, it seems as though no matter how the face is painted on a clam, the eyes reveal a certain sensitivity.
I suppose so. They sort of tell a little story. And, that's Clem Cadiddlehopper.
You started painting this when you were 10?
When I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to paint so badly, and I do paint badly, by the way. I wanted to paint, and we weren't exactly the richest people in the world. So what I would do is stay after school in the art class, and as a little kid, go up to the art class and clean the little pots that they were painting in, and I would scrape the best paint off into little jars that I had, and then I go home, and from my brushes I used to cut big hunks out of the back of my hair and tie them real tight with a wire or rubber bands or stuff onto a pencil or a stick to make my brushes. I had a lot of hairy paintings, but
Did you always
and
paint clams?
no, I do landscapes. I do here. I do still lifes. I think there's one in here. I don't know. Oh, I do. There's a duck. Yeah.
So when you first started, you weren't just painting.
No. I painted everything. I still do. There's a samurai. The samurai. And I'll tell you a story about this this painting here. If I can find it. It's the a floral design, and people walk in and they said, "Where'd you get that Van Gogh?" I have to show you the painting to give you an idea of what it was.
They asked you if it's Van Gogh.
Yeah, the original. When you see it on the wall, because it's brilliant in color, not in painting, but in color, it's brilliant. And so they said, "Where'd you get the Van Gogh?" I said, "That's not a Van Gogh." I said, "I painted it here." This, but it's used with that same technique, you know. See, so they said, "Where'd you get it?" I said, "I painted it." They said, "Come on, that's a Van Gogh." Well, you have to be careful when you paint. Anyone does, because you begin to believe it. So my wife finally said to me, "What's this Van Gogh stuff that you're starting with? You're not Van Gogh. You're Red Skelton." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." And so I went down to the hospital and had him sew my ear back on. Yeah, I really got into it. You know, the artist that I feel the most sorry for was Michelangelo, when he lay on his back for 7 years in his Sistine Chapel painting this ceiling. Yes. And then the Pope come in, look at it, and says, "It's nice, but we need a second coat."
Well, what makes you? How do you feel comfortable when you're painting?
Oh, I just sit down and start painting.
You have a studio in your
Yes, I have a studio, and I have a music room. But in the studio, I start about 10 o'clock at night, and I'll paint till 2 in the morning, even when I'm on the road. I carry a small piano with me. I got a nice one yesterday for Christmas. My conductor brought it in with him. It's a small.
Is this the size of your piano? I mean, you're talking
It's this big.
small piano?
and it has all the musical instruments on it. He paid a lot of money for it. He had to. But it wasn't so much the price, was the kindness in the way he gave it that made it more expensive to me and meaningful and very dear to me. Because, you know, you travel with a guy like for 8 years and you hear him thumping on little pianos and stuff, you know, thumping out numbers, you think it gets on their nerves. But he's so impressed with this, and I didn't realize. He taught music at Ohio State. He was a professor there of music. And he brought me this piano. And
But
it's
you bring that out in people. I mean, I can see it and feel it now, the
Oh.
sensitivity, but you can see it in your characters too.
Yeah.
Clem Cadillhopper, I mean, I'm amazed
Yeah.
that without any dialogue, without any words at all,
Yeah.
there's
Freddie the Freeloader was more so.
Yes.
The little hobo, you
And
know.
did you create those?
Yes,
yourself?
yes. I did it for a reason. Being from the Middle West, I wanted to do farm jokes and stuff, so I used Clem. And I used the basis for humor with Clem, where the country fellow goes to the city, and the city fellow tries to take him, and the country fellow takes him. See? So all those plots were basically what happened. Clem was the head of it. Like the guy says, "You're about 1 foot from an idiot." Clem says, "Am I crowding you?" You know, those type jokes. See? So that the farmer felt, I'm not so dumb after all. I'm a brilliant person, even with my basic humor, my down-to-earth approach on life. And then with Freddie the Freeloader, it was during the Depression years, and everybody was complaining about they had nothing. So I wanted to create a little character to where people could see. Now, this was during my vaudeville days. They could see themselves with a man who has absolutely nothing living in this dump. But instead of going out and buying booze and stuff, he bought a can of paint, and he made his little shack nice, you know, and orange crates automatically became painted, and uses bookshelves and modernistic designs and things. And I wanted to show the people that everyone can take nothing and enjoy it. Because basically, you're never without anything.
You were really in touch with the times too, and the things that you
Well,
really had a message as you're talking about.
I suppose in the background. Well, we don't have that anymore. You watch. We were talking a minute ago about you see a play on television now. You wouldn't want to be a part of it. The dialogue that they use and things. I don't care. Even a guy that on Skid Row, a wino, resents the four-letter words and things that they're using. He wouldn't want to put himself in that class. Possibly why he's a wino down there to get away from it. But nowadays, you don't really see plots like love scenes that you want to get into. I write a letter home to Mrs. Skelton each day, and whether I'm home or away, and I explain things to her. It would be rather personal, but give you an idea of the type of things. I haven't mailed one this morning yet, if you'd like to see it. Would you? Well, she'd kill us if we did this, but what did I do with my book? Is it over here? Here it is. The hotel, they have a nice hotel, but they have no writing paper or envelope, so I use this school paper, you know.
Would you read a little bit of this?
Oh, I'm not very good. You can read it.
Okay.
Because it would sound better coming from somebody.
Dear
Lothian. She was named after Midlothian, Scotland. And Lothian, Virginia is a city where her mother was from. And so they named Lothian.
Oh, what a lucky lady. What a nice way to have sunshine come on a fog-filled morning. Your voice is a spirit of goodness that gives music to one's very being. It helps to see beauty even on a misty day. True being away from home sometimes makes things seem misty. I guess I'll never be able to control my emotions when lonely. But thoughts of you and then to hear your dear voice is a sufficient preservative against any evil. It will be too late to say drive carefully. Going to the beach. Oh, she's going to the beach today?
Yeah, her mother passed away not long ago, and her grandmother, all of her grandmother's estates there, and her grandmother left everything to Lothian, so she has to go down and settle this all the time.
For by the time this arrives, you'll have gone through your grandmother's things, your grandmother's things left to you, and you will be back home safe with us in your surroundings. I am having success here so far, meeting people. The show is tonight. Jerry arrived and having a little trouble here with this.
Mhm.
And gave me, my Christmas gift, a lovely professional piano. What is it called? A cassette?
Cassatone.
Most expensive gift, but his kindness is what made it a rare, expensive gift. I wrote him a thank you note. I had a nice Christmas dinner last evening. You're celebrating Christmas now, huh?
Mhm.
There were 6 guests. When the check came, it had a birthday cupcake with a candle on the
Check.
check. One of the guests was celebrating a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how nice, they gave you a birthday card too. I call you at 9:30 p.m. You were so sleepy, and then I learned this morning.
When she called, that she didn't even remember me calling.
Oh, Rich, she was really asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Doty wants you.
You're in demand.
Well, anyhow, so what I'm trying to point out is that it's fun to do this, but it's difficult to write to someone each day and find things that are important enough to make them feel a part of what you're doing. And I think it's nice when you can find thousands of ways to tell someone that you love them.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so
Every day. What a special person you are.
not really. No different from anyone else. Anyone can paint if they put their mind to it. If you can write your name, you can draw. And music is in the air all the time. Listen to the sounds of the earth and just hum them and have a little recorder. Go down, you get one for $10 and hum into this recorder. If you don't know how to write music, let someone who does take down what you've hummed and you've composed a symphony, you know. And it's the same with making people laugh. It's just as easy to say a nice thing in a humorous way than it is to call somebody an SOB. But if you say, you SOB, they'll smile at it. So you can still make people smile even if you're angry with them.
Creating
You know.
a symphony of humor. It's such a pleasure.
Aren't you,
to have
dear?
met you.
Thank you,
Take
dear.
care. I hope I have a chance to see you again.
Well, I hope to be around for a while. And coming through the lobby, one of the girl basketball team was there, and they all came up and asked for autographs. And one of them says, oh, how long are you going to be here? I said, another 30 years, I hope.
Red, let's- just for a second,
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make you an official 36er.
All
May I?
right, yeah, thank you.
And I'd like to ask you to do one thing for us, and if you don't want to do it, just say, I'd rather not, and it'd be no problem. I'd like you to look into that camera and say, I used to be Clem Cadiddlehopper.
Yeah.
Now I'm a 36er.
All
Would
right,
you do that?
yes. I don't have it. Tell me when you're ready.
Anytime. I want you
Oh.
to, okay, and then hold up that card and show it.
Yes, I used to be Clem Cadiddlehopper, but now I'm a 36er. Yeah?
That's great. Thank
Oh, you are, Prince, you have made the day of a lot of people.
you. Terrific. Thanks so
And
much.
he is a special person.
For sure. I want to
You
take
can
this
feel
off of
the
you.
Yes.
warmth.
And I'd like to give you a hug.
Oh, really? He keeps you running, huh? You're wearing Mr. Doty out here.
Oh, I don't think.
No, he can't keep up with you.
Yeah.
He's painting for you.
Oh, well now, I don't want this back.
Oh, all right.
That's yours.
Remember, if your number's called, you got get a prize.
I'm gonna try. He's sitting out.
Oh, do we have to?
Do you ever like that cigar?
No, I don't smoke. I don't smoke.
Is that a Dutch Masters?
No, that is the House of Windsor that I do the commercials for. Yeah. It came around a strange way. I used to use a rubber cigar in burlesque. And the straight man finally said to me, he says, why don't you use a real cigar and flip it in the air and catch it and do all those things you do? It'll be funnier. So after the first show that I used a real cigar, a man came backstage and he said, his name was Eddie Nelson. I said, yeah, I saw your act at the Lyric. And he said, have you ever thought about going into vaudeville? I said, well, yes, but, you know. He said, well, the fellow that's in the act with me, he said, I've been studying you for a couple of shows. And he said, he's leaving, and I can pay you $125 a week. Well, I'm only getting $50 a week in burlesque, see? And they could have paid me $5,000 because they weren't even giving me my 50. But I said, well, I had to give them a 2 weeks notice. So I've always figured that the cigar had to do something with money. It changed my whole life, just doing that one thing. And he said, I like the way you handle that cigar. It's as funny as hell. And yes,
30?
yes. I thought, geez, isn't that something? So I've always thought that, yeah, I've always thought that the cigar has something to do with it. Like I never liked them. I did once, when my wife was pregnant, and we were having an argument, and I reached over and lit this thing, and she just, you got morning sickness. So it was making me sick, So, but she didn't say anything, but she said, you smoking? I said, I'm gonna start to smoke right now. So Frank Rizegi, the director, said to me, he says, here you're gonna take up smoking. I says, yeah, I'm driving him at the time. I said, yeah. I said, there's a little something to that, And he says, well, why don't you get a better brand? Because Mrs. Georgia is making her ill. I said, why is that? I said, I think that's thing going. And I looked down, and my whole coat sleeve is on fire as I did this out the car window.
So you quit smoking then, right?
Yes, retribution. No, I never lit it again after that. I used to pretend I was lighting them on my program, I'd get the haircut and then never light them, because he liked these cigars. So I let them look like I was lighting, but I couldn't do it.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Really a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to
Nice to meet you.
No, your dad's not a liar. It's just that I never played nightclubs or bars and things. There was another fellow on the show at the same time whose name was Johnny Cahill. He worked nightclubs and the